We changed all.
Wow.
Well, that's been the intro.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are surprising you with our lovely new intro, which is just starting again on my machine because I was so impressed. My apologies. But this time, you see, this is technology. This is what we make out of it with empathy, with enthusiasm, and with trying to do something new. Thanks, Thomas, for that cool intro. I just love it. And don't get irritated by unknowing younger surrounding people, which do probably not like it as much as we grown-ups.
You mean my daughters?
Grown-ups need new toys too.
That's
right. It's ours.
The visuals are cool, and we have the pleasure and the honor to have a cool guest today, Martin Schneider. We enjoyed so much last time when we had you here in our show, and we were so enthusiastic to have you back. So you made it happen, and we had the opportunity to say, "Oh yes, please come," and that's cool. Martin, there is a lot of things going on in the market, and such is that you moved from
Not the same Martin anymore.
Not the same.
a new background, a new face, or a new label on that brilliant face, which gives you a lot of opportunity to wash your face, such as joking around like with Thomas in the team. We have the two ones which have the advantage of no having hair problems. Yeah, just easy going every morning. The part is where I'm very curious. Can you tell our audience a bit about your recent business life,
Sure.
your steps, and the last time we met you when you were in a strategy role with Sugar CRM, and now we meet you as being in a strategy position at Support Logic. Welcome, Martin Schneider. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
All right, thanks, Ralph, and Thomas and Marshall. As always, great to be talking with you three. Always fun. Always provocative. Right now, no, it's been an interesting half year. I've started a new role with Support Logic. It's been an amazing 6 months. Started with the company when we were still at Series A. We've since landed a 50 million Series B round, and really, which is going to fuel a lot of the growth. But it's been about growth, right? And that's what's been really exciting. I was with a company for a long time that I loved, and I still think is a great product. Still a lot of good people there, and it's really came down to when I started at Sugar originally, way back, was it 15, 16 years ago, however long it was, the company was a lot like where Support Logic is, had an interesting concept, was growing fast. I was able to, work with a great team where we instituted, at the time, people still weren't doing inbound and product-led growth. We kind of, we invented some of that stuff in a lot of ways in terms of, how we built out our free trials and using open source and all those types of things to bring in people in a kind of quick and frictionless way. We went global super fast. So it was really a lot of fun. And I missed that, right? When you get to that kind of stagnant, mature side of things, even if the company's fine, maybe growing a little bit, making money, doing that stuff, but it's just not that exciting Wild West fun to be able to do a number of things. And what I never really was able to do at a company like Sugar is create a category. And what I'm super excited about at Support Logic is we're creating a category, which is support experience, because there's
Mhm.
so much shift, market shift happening. There's so much, change when it comes to what, is important with CX in a subscription economy, retention economy, to post-pandemic economy, that what we're doing aligns so well that we really are creating a new category. And we're all super excited about that. But the implications of that from a business perspective are fun, is huge, and just the opportunity just couldn't pass that up. So joining a new team, always hard after being with a company seemingly like the bulk of your career, but it's been nothing but fun, hard work a lot, because like I said, we're creating a category, but
Yeah.
we're growing fast. Our customers are some of the biggest names in technology, and it's just so much. It's been a really great kind of refreshing change at the same time. While I miss a lot of people I worked with, but it's a new frontier, and I'm super excited.
So it
This would,
is like a Starship Enterprise. You are on a journey and you are on new grounds, and you have
Yep.
invented the electric vehicle just to place it in some kind of something really new, something differentiating. Sorry, Marshall,
Sure.
I interrupted.
no, I was going to just say now would probably be a good time to talk a little more about support logic. Tell us about this ground you're breaking.
Sure.
Let's hear about the picks and shovels.
Yeah, sure. So I think on two levels, I would say almost at a more macro level, Support Logic is the kind of company that's going to win in the future, right? Because when you look at every CRM provider or blank provider that's been around for 20 years, 15 years, 30 years, they're not AI at their heart, right? They're not ML at their heart. They're not built to manage unstructured data. They're not built to be fast and nimble and to generate applications in sometimes in minutes, if not days versus weeks, months, the quarters, years.
Right.
So what's really interesting, is seeing companies that what is the heart of what we do? It's an AI ML engine, and that makes it everything else easier, because we're creating purpose-built applications that generate results within weeks, not something that's an empty database that you have to go and figure out how to configure, do all this crazy work, put a bunch of data in it, and then maybe get value out of it. Maybe, so that's I don't mean that's a bad thing. CRMs are very important things. They're very important systems of record. But what we're building, and what the kind of big companies, the unicorns of tomorrow, are systems of intelligence that complement these systems, but generate and I would say an inordinate, in a good way for us, amount of value versus what those guys present. The value that they present is transactional, it's operational, it's keeping the business kind of going in a lot of ways. But from the support perspective, we're generating a lot of incredible insight and actionable insight and value and return on investment that is really exciting. Like I said, these are all important systems. We work with them, we partner with them, we love these systems, but we're doing some really interesting things in a very fast and nimble way to go to market that these guys just weren't. The DNA doesn't align with that, right? So that's kind of on the macro level of like why I love this company, why it's different, and why I wanted to get into a company like this. More on the let's bring it down, from 30,000 to 5 or 10,000 feet, is we're doing really cool things out of the box for our customers, right? Big B2B tech companies, they have hundreds of thousands of cases a year in their support centers. They've got hundreds or thousands of agents, dozens or hundreds of managers. And what's happening, right? In the relational database system, they're managing cases, they're using workflows, and they're doing important things, but they get blindsided by a lot of things. And one of the most important ones is escalations, right? And what we do is we leverage that AI and ML and NLP tools that we have to read the entirety of your cases, both the relational data, the metadata, the unstructured data, the emails back and forth, all the notes, all of that stuff, to understand the entirety of the relationship, to start predicting and preventing things like escalations, things like potential customer churn events, things like that. And in a subscription and retention economy, where that is so critical, especially in B2B, right, where the relationship is everything, this provides an incredible amount of value. When you think of companies that have average case costs of a few $100s because of how specialized their support engineers need to be, and when you think of it's 10 to 15, sometimes 20x an escalation cost, if we can reduce that by 30, 40% reductions, which we do on normally, that's typical results for our customers, that's millions of dollars a year that we're saving them. So the ROI on our deployments within the first year becomes huge, absolutely huge. Whereas it's hard to measure the ROI of your transactional systems, right? It's like, yeah, you need them, but where's the value? So we can articulate and enumerate and really just show value. And once people, they originally, they stop and they say, wait, you can stop the escalations, or at least some of them, or a good percentage of them, they're interested immediately. And when you show how quickly we can deploy and start managing and tuning the AI and ML, they're like, okay, this is great, this is fast. And then once they start seeing the results, 40% reductions month over month, like some of our biggest customers are seeing in escalations, and that's just one of the things we do. They're like, all right, well, you're beyond paying for yourself. Your payback is 9 or 10x what we're paying you. That's amazing, because that makes my job as a marketer at heart really easy, because I can articulate and I can communicate value in ways that, how do you do that at a company that that just does operational stuff? It's like, yeah, you need it, you want to track your stuff, but really, how do you really articulate the ROI of a SFA tool? You're not doing more deals because you have a CRM, because you have an SFA tool. You can be more productive in the deals that you do. You can centralize data and share information and do all that. But you're probably not going to close more deals because you had a relational database somewhere. But we're actually preventing escalations, creating an amazing amount of value. And that alone makes people like, yep, renewal. The company's been in business for a few years, haven't lost a customer yet, 0 churn, which is great.
Wow. You're also going to see the results in service and support much quicker than you are in sales. Renewals for you have got to be a breeze.
They're easy, yeah.
We turn on support logic. Everything is faster, and the resolutions are better. We've got joy among the support staff. Where do I sign up?
Yeah, no, exactly. And we've expanded from that core of escalations. Like I said, managing churn, much more, what I would say, intelligent customer health, case assignment that goes beyond rules-based, right? That allows you to assign and reassign based on a number of factors that our AI/ML engine can actually start to quantify. Where it's a real time. It's not just skills-based. It's not just availability. It's not round robin. It goes beyond that. It's super intelligent. So all these things just build up the ROI case. But at the end of the day, like you're saying, Marshall, is one of the things I always loved, and why I took on the Serve product at Sugar when we were trying to put that out, was these are tools that people actually use all day, every day. Whereas SFA, a guy wants to maybe log in on Friday to put in what he's doing a couple minutes after a call, maybe, right? Let's be honest, right? Most people don't like using CRM. I don't know anyone who's like, I love my CRM, it's the best thing, Whereas either through having to, or wanting to, or needing to, people use their support tools all the time, because that's their that's their line to the customer, right? So making that system even more intelligent, something that they have to use, and making it even more having indispensable insights right on top of that, and bi-directionally synced in what we do, and giving a really great user experience to managers. Because that's the other thing, where you look at the Zendesk and the Salesforce world, they're great for agents to do the things they do, but other than a couple dashboards, what do managers get out of it? Which is weird, because SFA is the opposite. Managers love it because the dashboards are important for pipeline and all that other analysis, but the end users hate using it, right? So we've really walked into a great situation, and that's why we're growing 3-4x year over year.
How, when you're saying you are contributing to avoiding escalations, how do you what signals are interpreted there? So that tell us, well, there is an escalation to come.
Yeah. So what we call it signal extraction, right? So that's the idea, right? It's we're reading every email, all of the other nodes. We're looking at even kind of white space stuff, like how long or not long has the last conversation been? So is the customer unresponsive, or is the agent unresponsive? Looking at those types of things, last outbound, last inbound, looking at a number of different things. And then we're doing sentiment analysis inside the text as well. So we're looking at, product information. We're looking at obviously, traditional sentiment, right? And it's interesting because we've nuanced our ML to really understand sentiment in B2B. Like B2C is a lot easier, right? Because people calling into B2C call centers are usually pissed, right? They're angry. It's something they've bought with their own money that isn't working, and they're using expletives and other colorful language. B2B is interesting. What we're learning as we tune our ML engines for B2B customers, there's a decorum, right? No one drops F-bombs in the email unless it's like the escalation, like we've had an outage and we can't do this, you know what I mean? So there's really this kind of interesting, like, polite language. So we really actually go an extra level with our sentiment to start to understand when are people starting to become dissatisfied, because it's a lot more subtle. So there's all these different factors that we look into. Like I said, we look at all these, and that generates more than just the escalation insight. That's why we can understand, product information. We've got all these dashboards and all these sentiment trending and all this stuff that goes beyond just escalations, because it's health scoring, it's churn analysis, it's product insight for the product team to say, oh, okay, well, your escalations are coming from this version of this product. And in a SaaS world, you might say, okay, well, we've allowed people to stay on this one and we haven't sunsetted support for that. Or if you're in a hybrid world, you might have some on-sites, and it's like, well, maybe we need to go and be proactive about maybe incentivizing upgrades, something like that, right? So you can really start to read through these and get a number of insights from the signals. So the escalations is just part of it, but like I said, we're looking at hundreds of signals to call them that, and that's what's really been interesting. So it's across all these different kind of attributes, all these different areas. It's a huge mosaic of what we're looking at, and that's what's great because all the other guys are going to say, all right, well, we're going to do sentiment, and we're just going to throw Amazon Lens against some of the calls that we do or the call transcripts. And these are, but they don't have the ability to analyze it in a whole context and completely. It's just like, here's one sentiment analysis of one call. Well, how do you really show me sentiment trending? Man, right? You're just showing me that. You got to do a lot of work on the back end if you're one of those older systems, especially utilizing a tool like Amazon to do that. So it's really exciting how we can do this in the entirety. So we're showing you, trend lines, we're showing you, insights that you really can't get anywhere else. The VOC guys are just going to show you a snapshot in time of what one customer thought about you. NPS scores are really kind of distracted from the reality. They might talk about the experience of that one interaction, but they're not telling you about the relationship and the true health of that relationship, especially in B2B, right? So it's really exciting the way that we're kind of up leveling our ability to bring sentiment in, to bring product trends and to bring relationship analysis to another level that is done in so many silos and isolation with other approaches. So we're super excited about what we bring to the table, not just because of the escalation predictions. And again, one of the cool things is people can tune in real time what they're doing. We can tell you, oh, this is probably going to escalate. You can agree, you can disagree. So we can do all this kind of manual tuning, then we can go and do back end tuning. So we're constantly working on the models. So you can get started fast with our out of the box escalation prediction, and then it starts to kind of tune itself, and we tune it, and then you can tune it as well. So it's really, really exciting, the kind of the factors and elements that we bring.
Yeah. Ralph mentioned earlier Star Trek and the Enterprise. It sounds to me like you've invented the Heisenberg compensator. You're able to figure out a relationship's position and its velocity at the same time.
Yeah.
You're violating the laws of physics, man.
Exactly. It's particle and wave, right? But it's true. I mean, and in a way, I mean, look, like there are other approaches, and there's complementary approaches, and people are going to have multiple tools that are part of their CX initiative, right? Like I said, you're going to have a CRM ticketing system. You're probably going to be doing voice of the customer surveys. But what we bring to the table is like I said, a lot more contextual insight. And we have the use cases of escalation, of churn, but we also do interesting things around like agent coaching and things like that, where we can find those interesting moments, because and even in like backlog management for the caseloads, it's like, because what you're doing, if you're doing that just in Zendesk or just in Salesforce, the manager has to go in and start just looking at cases to figure out which ones he should be reviewing and using for evaluation of the agents. Well, that's a arduous process. What we do is we read all the cases and all the interactions in between them and say, hey, if your job involves you having to review and evaluate your agents, and you need to look at 3 to 5 cases a week, and ideally you're looking at like positive, neutral, and negative, not just like where did they screw up, because then all you're doing is yelling at agents and you deal with people getting bummed out and quitting, and we already have a problem with support attrition and we always have, and it's just getting worse with post pandemic, the seller's market or buyer's market. I don't know what it is when the employee's in charge, but with the great resignation and all this kind of stuff happening, you really want to be able to engage and monitor quality, but do it in a way where you're both coaching and engaging in a positive way, as well as helping people get better, right? So we find interesting moments, we bring those cases, we push them right to the manager, and they can say, hey, okay, well, these are what we want to review. And then, and it's this, WYSIWYG, like do, just follow you right through it, saves them hours and hours and hours of time hunting, needles in a haystack. We're bringing the needles right to the top. As one of our sales guys says, it's like having a magnetic glove. You just put it over the haystack, the needles just come right up.
Looking back into this B2B, B2C thing that you mentioned before, so how do you manage that? At the end of the day, it's vastly different models that need to be applied. So
yeah, well, we're focusing on B2B right now. I mean, I think maybe eventually there might be some value for us, but look, we've got a great product that aligns incredibly well with B2B tech, and when you look at companies with 50,000 to 500,000 cases, there's hundreds of those out there where they're selling mildly to very complex technology.
Yeah.
So we've got runway for days, so to speak, in terms of the market that we can tackle and target market just in B2B tech. But I mean, but there's also analogous things, where the services organizations have the same idea, right? When you're doing deployment, the back and forth and the things that happen, from a services team, very much the same thing as B2B support, right? When product-led growth is doing support, even though the company hasn't bought yet, that type of thing. We've got a company 5-tran that's really reduced what you could call it churn, but I don't even know if you would call it churn. I mean, really, it's the people coming in, doing free trials, freemium type stuff, and ensuring that experience is great so that they become paying subscribers. They've reduced the kind of cart abandonment, let's call it, in the B2B sense, right? By 25% with us. Think about the revenue that they're protecting there and collecting. That's huge, right? So there's so many use cases where this aligns in B2B. I'm not worried about B2C. And that's why we don't really have a lot of competitors. When you look at the observes and the frames and all that stuff, they're going after those B2C call center agents and kind of telling them on the spot, hey, maybe don't curse back at this person, or this person's angry. Maybe, hey, give this person a fee waiver, that kind of, whatever it is. And again, that's the particle, and we're the wave, right? And that's really, and you might have both of these in play, where you want your agents to be optimized in real time with some cool AI tools, but you really also want your managers to have all the things they need to make sure escalations don't happen. And it's going to be a mosaic of tools, right? And the great thing is these are easy AI-based intelligent cloud tools that sit right on top of your core ticketing system. It's not rip and replace. You're not doing this crazy disruptive stuff to get our stuff going. You just turn it on, right? And that's what's really cool. So, and the other guys are similar in that way too. So, and that's what really interested me. Like I said, this is, the activation energy in this new era is of these types of applications so much easier, right? Than several months or I've been in this myself. I've renewed software contracts before go live. That's sad. I've had it happen at companies I've worked, and I've had it at company products that I've bought. And that happens for a number of different reasons when it's not a super intuitive, super simple, purpose-built tool, right? You've got to figure, well, what's our exact use case, because this is a blank slate. You buy a core marketing automation or an SFA or even a ticketing system, and you don't know exactly how to get the workflows going. It takes weeks, months, and you don't have a great partner, that kind of thing. So that's what's really exciting is, we can coexist with a lot of different applications, even as the lines between B2B and B2C blur a little bit in terms of how people provide their support. We're just talking to people, right? But we provide, very specific benefits for a very specific use case, not use cases, but personas, and they love us. So we're excited.
So you would say, if I'm sorry,
go ahead.
How does that differentiate between industries? Just to continue with the same thread. So there, in different industries, I can imagine that the signals that are important are different.
Yeah, so for sure, and that's why, like I said, we're really, the beachhead is in B2B complex, like expensive
okay,
technology. But we're starting to see a little bit outside of that, even in some kind of, into the kind of telecommunications side of things, where it's not just like your cell phone plan, that kind of thing. So it becomes, a little bit more than that, right? So there's, anybody that has more than just like a single call to, if you've got 95% first call resolution, you probably don't have very complex issues, right? So we're not really going to be able to help you figure out what an escalation is, because we're really trying to look at, trends over time, looking at, conversation count, looking at the insides of, what the sentiment in that conversation, and especially in text. A lot of times it's email that's going back and forth in B2B.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we'll evolve, and we'll add more industries, especially as we add more data sources. We work with Slack in a way where we're doing agent swarming and pulling people from outside the support information with Slack, but we're not reading Slack channels today. We'll probably do that in the near future. But when you think about that could be a very different industry that we, pull into different industries, right? And that's that's going to be really exciting, because as Slack will get more integrated into the Salesforce use cases, we'll be able to utilize that information even more easily than we will in kind of first and second phases. We love that Slack's inside Salesforce. We love Salesforce as potential big go-to-market partner for us. So that's a great thing. The Service Cloud use case, or Service Cloud install base is huge, right? So really just going after that alone, we could eat for days, and years. So it's so the industries will increase, but very adjacently, right? We're not just going to jump over to retail, right? That doesn't really have a lot of adjacency, right? But like we said, telco, other types of hard machinery or something like manufacturing when it's complex, you think about that, those types of companies where they're building a lot of complex stuff for people, and there's issues that happen along the way. And like I said, it's post-sale, but it's pre-delivery, right? Because they're constructing giant, machinery, and it's done to spec. It's like, well, this isn't working the way we promised. How do we do that? And then that escalates because someone's pissed. The escalations happen in all these industries, right? So as long as there's escalations, we've got potential to work with those types of companies.
So the competition, to your perspective, after 6 months, looking at several angles, is not really existing. You are something really new. Or if I put it in my words, there are some people around the block, but you are the new kid, and you do it different.
Sure.
And you do it more sexy, more easy, and more focused. Would that come to a point you would keep nodding in that way and not in that way?
No, I think so. Look, I mean, will this, will our kind of lone wolf in this gray in this wide market? Yeah. I mean, will that last forever? Maybe not, because it's, support experience is going to become a concept that people understand, right? You need, especially in B2B, part of your CX plan needs to be understanding the interactions you're having with customers to truly understand the status of the relationship. And marketing doesn't do that as well as people think it does, from really giving you the signals, right? Because a lot of that stuff is happening on your own, so to speak. As we know, like 50-ish% of the marketing cycle is an individual doing their own research, right? Not actually interacting with you and having emails, right? And then, part of that might be, well, I might have a drift or an intercom or a qualified chat. I'll just ingest that and give you signals from that. We can pull that in too. So it's interesting. So this kind of support experience, how you're helping customers in that front line, that's what's going to be interesting, right? So people are going to glom onto that and understand that the ease of which we can ingest, analyze, and drive actionable insights from unstructured data, like the emails back and forth, like call and chat transcripts and things like that, and how speech to text alone is just getting more commoditized. I'll say that word eventually, but it's commoditized. It's really, I think more people will be doing this, but we are obviously the pioneer in this as the concept of support experience. Other people might say, oh, we're voice of the customer, or we're agent optimization. So maybe our universe of support experience might be broader than how we define it in truth, but I think more and more people will be coming in. There'll be more startups, because in this market shift to subscription, to all that, just like you've seen companies like Zora disrupt parts of what even like Salesforce and the CRM guys do, and what billing companies do, because they focused on the shift that was happening. We're doing the same thing, right? If you're going to, in a B2B world, protect, grow revenue, keep customers coming back, and keep that lifetime value where it needs to be, if not grow it, you need to understand what's happening in the support organization, because that's one of the truest signals of the relationship and the relationship health, because that experience they're getting, that's the experience after they buy, right? The marketing experience may actually be kind of infinite, but there's just expectations there. Everyone knows you're just kind of putting your best face forward and putting all that kind of stuff and just blah, 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 but the support is where really rubber meets road, and we can learn so much. That's where product use information comes in. That's where product satisfaction comes in. And it's beyond way more than just how well did your agent do. It's really about what is the real root cause of them coming in for support. You need to understand that, because it can be about product, it can be about service and other parts of the experience, other than just, well, the agent wasn't very nice, So there's a lot we can learn there.
Especially if I analyze complaint management, which is one of the pieces in Reklamationsmanagement, in one of these areas where people do not dig in so very much, and how much benefit there is if you know your complaint, the complainers, and you have a typology, and you can take resources in educating your personnel, and you get feedback on how to improve your products and solutions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So who we empower isn't just support, right? It's customer success, because you've got CSMs, whatever you want to call them, that can learn from these insights and never get like ambushed, right? You want to go in for like a renewal conversation, and they're like, what are you talking? Have you even looked at, because you might say, oh, you have like 3 or 4 outstanding cases, but actually understanding that these are in escalation or about to escalate. These people are bummed out, but it's also about, well, this product that we're using and this, and you can actually, CSOs look at that and be like, oh, well, they should be using this, or they should upgrade to this, or they need to add this, and really gain a wealth of insights just around engaging with the customers from, QBRs and renewal conversations, those types of things, but then also just product teams. If they learn about, the actual things that people are asking, because a lot of times there'll be out of field things where someone might in the email or in the transcript, something like that, say, hey, wouldn't it be cool if this did this? And you can start to see trends around that, around the keywords and things like that. And a product team can start to prioritize roadmap, but also, looking at support and sundowning and all that type of stuff, sunsetting for the actual versions and things like that. So you can learn so much from actually looking at the entirety of the interaction, not just something like a survey after the fact, or just resolution times, or, and meantime to resolution. These are all important things to understand, but getting much deeper and much richer in the data set like we provide, the wealth of information goes way outside of just the support manager and the support agent and the VP of support. It's, like I said, customer success, product teams. Obviously, executives can learn about all this stuff because it can help them position and learn, where to go next. So it's huge in terms of the legs that it has, even outside of the support organization.
Is that also why you're saying that survey-based approaches to CX are at best inadequate? I mean, the guys of Medallia and Qualtrics probably wouldn't like that statement.
No, of course not. But and look, like I said,
They're not here.
they're not here now. But
Well, they can't complain.
it's
Yeah.
different values. It's different use cases. It's different, outcomes that you're looking for. It's different drivers. Who's incentivized to do this, and what are you trying to measure, right? They have a value, but like I said, if you're looking to do the things that we help you do, predict and prevent escalations, predict and prevent customer churn, optimize, agents' soft skills, as well as making sure that they do the right things from a program perspective of, hey, do you do the proper greeting? Are you doing all the things that you build into the rubric of what an engagement should have? What are the key factors and elements? How is a VOC survey going to do that, right? So look, it can tell you some snapshot and some interesting information, but it's not going to analyze the relationship between you and the customer, right? It's very, very pointy. It's little dots on a board, and that's it has a value, but it's not what we do. I think we provide a much richer understanding of the relationship because we're looking at complete data sets, not just a potentially biased opinion of someone who just had someone probably have to go and do something nice for them because they weren't happy, right? So you're always kind of like, oh, that guy, he or she did a really great job. I'm going to give them a good survey response because that they worked hard for you. That's like but that doesn't give you any insight in the underlying problem of why they reached out in the first place. So it's limited at best, right? In terms of how much insight you truly get from survey-based approaches to voice of the customer.
Well, insight is going to be a problem no matter what tool you use, I think. One of the things that I think we're starting to get to now is the question, what do support logic customers need to do in terms of their own reorientation, relearning, in terms of how to get the most benefit out of a tool like yours?
Yeah, I mean, what we're seeing is, and when we're the most successful is when we're aligned with a cultural shift from a reactive break fix to a proactive support experience mindset. So, you really need to be, to be thinking about things where, you're again, taking these insights in and not using them as, oh, well, last minute escalation, the damage might already be done, but let me just jump on this and firefight, right? It's really about how do you sweep the forest, to use a dumb terminology.
Build fire breaks.
Yeah, exactly. But it's the how do you reduce the fires from the first place because you're thinking proactively, right? So what you're equipping more and more people inside the support organization with insights about every single customer, so that you're seeing these things, these trends, way earlier than you would. So again, support cases happen, escalations happen. It's just the nature. No product is perfect, no company is perfect. You're never going to get that down to zero, right? But what's really important is if you can do a number of things where you're empowering agents with great insight, you're empowering managers to put the right people, you're enabling smart swarming that goes into the entire organization, not just support. You can really make use of a product like ours and really make a huge difference because, like I said, you're kind of changing the mindset to that proactive, concept where, when you stop investing only in like case deflection. I always say case deflection is customer defection because you want to engage, especially in B2B. You want to learn what's the root cause, what's going on. You want to provide a standout experience, but you need to figure out, well, what's the balance there, right? So how do I understand using self-service in a way that makes sense And then when people engage, the agent has a lot of tools, a lot of insight, a lot of context without having to hunt for it, without having to take minutes or way longer to figure out how to provide a response or to make a decision on where we go next here, right? Because again, they might be able to resolve it. Awesome. They have, knowledge base, are going to go do this. But when they can't, having at their fingertips experts via Slack pulling right in, having the manager look at it and say, hey, I need to be proactive here. This isn't this person and this situation are not aligned. Let me reassign and pull in somebody. Being able to quickly in seconds make these decisions rather than have them bubble up as critical issues, that does an amazing amount of goodwill for the customer relationship. And that's what improves the customer experience and customer satisfaction, enables the customer to be happier, to have a more seamless experience, even when those problems are and their issues are in that process of resolution. And it's just expectations are set and met. It's not just oh, we're sorry about that, we're going to do the best we can, and then you have to go and go crazy hero firefighting, right? So that just creates a much more benevolent cycle around the support organization, improves satisfaction, improves retention rates and upsell and cross-sell rates, all that kind of stuff, because the customer just trusts you more, right? And that's what we instill. So we're kind of part of that overarching support organization transformation initiatives that are really happening among the leading companies that get it. They get that they have to create a support experience that feeds into the customer experience, right? And that's the kind of mindset that you have to be hyper successful with support logic.
Yeah.
When do you branch out to saying that the involvement of a support agent already is an escalation?
Well, like I said, I mean, that's an interesting concept. I mean, self-service is not a catch-all, and it's impossible to solve some of the difficult issues, especially in B2B technology, with self-service. So, is it a type of escalation? I mean, look, you can get philosophical about what an escalation is, what an escalation isn't. There's the ones the customers start. There's the ones that the agent starts. There's the one that the manager steps in. At any given, then you get those nuclear escalations where an executive's involved, right?
Yep.
Those are bad. We definitely want to.
Those we really don't want. Yeah.
Yeah. But we believe that in the natural course of doing business and having a long-term relationship using complex technology, you're going to have cases that are best served by a human being. So I wouldn't say that just having an agent involved is an escalation. I would say having an agent involved, after someone tries to solve it themselves is a kind of micro escalation, but it's not one that, it's one that you want to have, because you want that customer to be able to quickly get to an up level to someone who can help them. Right. So is it an escalation? Maybe once an agent gets involved, because people might start thinking, oh, maybe I can solve this issue myself, but it might be a little above their pay grade in terms of their technical ability, or just the scope of the issue might be more than what they think, and they can't find it on a portal or something like that. So yeah, is that an escalation once an agent gets involved? Sure, but it's not a bad escalation, right? And that's the idea, is that we don't think escalations are necessarily bad. And again, it's when we talk about preventing escalations, it's always like preventing that escalation that's a bad escalation, right? It's kind of on your side, the business side, you're escalating before the customer knows you're escalating, right? So you're preventing the kind of customer initiated escalation that lends itself to higher costs and potential erosion of trust, right? So that's what we do well. So yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of escalations. Some are good, some aren't so good, some are definitely bad. So we try to reduce the ones that are definitely bad, and we definitely try to make, when it does escalate to an agent, make sure that process is streamlined, has the best people on it, that kind of thing.
I see a large market in the guidance of the service agent. I just recall personal and told stories by my sons, which have moved and installed a new internet equipment. And then they were negatively surprised by that, having bought 100 megabits in supply, they had only 6 megabits. And then they called the friendly helper from the call center who was telling them, yeah, I know the problem. We came to the basics like plug in, plug out, reset, no reset, play again the software, blah, blah, blah. Then he said, well, definitely it's the router. The router is your problem. And then my kids called me and said, is that realistic? I said, is it some of that Speedport telecom crap? Yes. Find a friend, use another router, check it again. Then they followed the advice of the guidance, not me, but the one who was responsible because he was a supplier, which was a different opinion than mine. And unfortunately, his tip was not the best. Then there was another agent, another experience, and he came to the same result like me, changed the router. They bought a different router. They checked it with a different router. It didn't work. It were 10 megabits, but not 100. They called the man again. They had then third approach, a cool technician, a knowledgeable guy who simply said, and here we come to the escalation, I send you a field technician because that is a problem where we need somebody who is measuring your line, who is drill down the problem to if it's on the next connection port or is it something in the electricity lines or in the connection lines in your house or how we can be of assistance. If you ask my two boys now what they liked the approach that at least somebody took the decision to escalate it to somebody who was more knowledgeable than himself. And this is where I say there is a large benefit if the system is guiding you, such as if you have checked these 3 points, call in the next expert.
Yeah. And that's why these need to be a little bit more intelligent than just sentiment based. And you're starting to see that some of the ones are getting better with that. And like I said, we're not doing that necessarily today. We might in the future, and that's why, again, you have to take, a kind of best of breed approach, especially if you have a B2B, B2C kind of blended approach, because you do need that context. You can't just by the customer being angry, know anything that you just said, right? About that escalation, right? Of what that person did. But if you know the history of what they've purchased, you've known that they've called a few times before, you have all that information as well as kind of some of the sentiment stuff. You can say, first 30 seconds of the call is understand where you've been, what you've been going through. Let's tell me your schedule so I can get that tech out to you. And that's what I'm saying. You put these approaches together and they can all feed each other, right? So again, there's no magic bullet for any of this now, but there are tools that you can start to piece this together. The ones that fall short are the ones that are just sentiment, right? You're just looking at sentiment, customer's mad. Well, if this is their third call and you know that because you're looking at that in the CRM, you could probably guess that. You probably don't need sentiment analysis to figure that out if it's their third call in a single day. So again, I mean, these are very B2C type scenarios, but you do start to see them blend in between, right? And again, more and more, we're a new company. We're excited about the data sources and the types of use cases that we're going to acquire and bring in, into the product, developing and building those out. And someday we might be all across the board there. But today, people are going to take a numerous approaches. So like I said, it is a bit of a kind of an ecosystem now and a whole kind of marketscape that we're part of. When it comes to support experience, I think you could put some of those other companies in there. We're just doing different things. And that's what, that's what's exciting is that I don't necessarily like to compete with anybody other than, kind of project priority of our customers, which one's more important, which one are you going to do first, right? So that's really our biggest competitor is, all the heads of support things that get it. They're like, of course we want to reduce escalations. Of course we want to identify churn risk. Of course we want to do all these things. Of course I want to reduce my backlog. Of course I want to be able to evaluate and coach my agents in a simple way. And I want to be able to be the hero feeding other departments. I want to be able to swarm without, I can't afford to just have everybody in my company be a Service Cloud tool. How do I get hundreds of people in with predictable low costs, that kind of thing, who are in the product team to be able to provide expert commentary via Slack onto a collaborative approach to resolution? That's the kind of thing, people get it, but they might also have other things they want to do. So our biggest competitor is people saying, do it right now, because support is typically, it's been kind of stayed for a while. It's like you have your telephony stuff if you're a call center, you have your CRM ticketing if you're kind of B2B and doing it mostly via email, and these guys are just now learning that we got to transform the organization. So, but there's a lot doing that. So that's been great for us. So customer acquisition's been great for us, but as more and more catch on, it's going to be.
So how is the purchase or the merging or getting Axona on board helping that approach to be another different Star Trek flying around in the universe?
Yeah. So a gentleman named Dave Fayou has joined our company just a couple months ago, and he has done a fantastic job ramping up our channel and our entire kind of partner ecosystem. We're right now attacking VARs and resellers. We do want to start to create more of a marketplace and an ISV ecosystem. That'll come as well. But really, the companies like Axona and CX Effect and others, I think we have about 6 or 7 partners now. It really just enables us to reach out to organizations that are now actively, because again, when we're going direct, we don't know where they are in terms of like that transformation I'm talking about, right? We're just doing, very marketing engagement with our sales development and our account executives and closing deals, right? And we're doing great with that. But what's really exciting about having this channel is Axona and others are already in the mix of business transformation initiatives, and that might have started
interesting countries, from the territory point of view.
Oh yeah, and that's what's great is look, your partners help you go global much more quickly, right? And that was really interesting when we were building out the go to market at Sugar 15 years ago. Open source and other things, really helped us, for people to just grab the product, learn it, and then say, hey, we want to resell it. Like it was very inbound. Like our partners came to us, and there were guys like Synolia and other guys that have been there since day 10, it feels like. But they were in there in the first year and started reselling and doing great stuff. And they're great partners because they understood it early and they could but with us, it's we need to be aligned with a very a project that's about transforming, becoming more intelligent. And those partners are already on the ground with that. So we can be, we can be inserted into those, which is really great. Because like I said, it's very seamless. It's all cloud-based, super easy. It's not, there's no rip and replace because no one was using anything else before. So we're just additive to the CRM. So these guys are already in there. So it gives us, it really just is a force multiplier for our go-to-market. And we're super excited. Like I said, I've known Axona for a long time. Vaughn, who runs that organization, is great. And they've got great development. And I think they're going to, we're going to learn a lot together because it's a new, they're going to help bring this category out to great companies that they work with as well. So, and we'll bring them into deals and vice versa. So, the biggest thing is just providing a great experience from marketing, so to speak, marketing and sales, to the onboarding, to the use, and really finessing that integration with CRM and other systems as well, data warehouses and other things that might have other customer data that can make our predictions even more accurate and earlier in the process, and just be more impactful and powerful. So we're super excited about what our partner network is doing already, and it's just been a couple months.
And how is the territory approach in the direction of Europe? I was looking through your website and a bit, my curiosity by profession, and I'm like if you ask my wife, I'm super curious. I would be speaking with the prejudice, a real female when it's come to curiosity. So I was looking into where the heck is Germany in support logic? Help me. Where are you?
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. So today we're focusing on U.S., Canada, potentially UK, Ireland, and Australian, ANZ. You can start to understand why, right? The AI ML engine that
They
we
they
have,
all speak similar languages,
of course. So there you go, right?
except the Quebecers who are
So
out of
when
scope.
we become multi-language, we'll have to do that in a very thoughtful way, for lack of a better term. One of the great things about DACH region is, we can go into multiple countries with one additional language. So I would assume, looking at where we're going and where business is done, that Germany is not far behind, or is a priority in terms of a language area that we would support. But today, because like I said, this is very purpose driven, it's very nuanced,
Yeah.
and B2B, going from kind of transcribing, as it were, from English as the core language that we speak is, could we sell to a German company that does 90% of its business transactions in English? Sure. Right. I mean, we could do that. A German company that does its business in the US. So it really only matters where, what's the language of transactions, so to speak, in terms of
Yeah.
the service
Yeah.
experience.
I'm
So
with you.
support and
Mhm.
service experience. So there's, but we have companies outside of the US using us because they do business in English, right? So that's our barrier right now. So the AI ML engine being able to go, and NLP being able to attack other languages and go and scan that and do that out of the box, that's our barrier. And like I said, there are so many companies within a 20-mile radius of our headquarters in San Jose that we could be going after for years. So global expansion, global domination, it'll happen, but we got to
Global
hire a lot more data
domination.
scientists
Yeah.
to get that
It sounds like Pinky and the Brain. I'm very happy now.
tomorrow. World domination, right?
The Borgs, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Again
yeah,
with the Star Trek.
and we want to get it right, and that's
Yeah.
what's important. Is the great thing is, like I said, you don't have to do. It's a very like just set it and forget it if to get started, and then we do a lot of the work to tune for
Mm.
you, and every few months we're showing the findings and the improvements. But you can just get started because, like I said, it's very purpose built. That's a lot of work to start doing that in multi languages. So we'll get there, but there's a lot of things we need to do as a young company. And like I said, we're hiring like crazy, but we still, we've got a lot more data scientists to bring on board, a lot more engineers, and that'll happen. It's the sky's the limit, and it's going to be really exciting once we're a global organization like that. But we're not crawling now. I think we're walking. When we get running, we'll probably start going global.
Up and beyond, to speak like Buzz Lightyear, there is far more room to discover and conquer. And if we go a bit to our normally set up approach of having a 60 minutes conversation, I'm a bit curious in the territory. Where do you see, if you use your crystal ball or your knowledge, where would next year be the trends in your direction from the perspective that there is a new era of service technology?
Yeah, I think it all comes down to a couple things. One is, really investing in purpose-built AI tools like
Yeah,
ours, and AI tools like others that can actually make sense of unstructured data, right? I think we're finally seeing that kind of
Mhm.
flip into more people doing it than not doing it. The smarter companies
yeah,
kind of getting there because the saturation of CRM and ticketing, people are realizing they're not as intelligent as they thought. They're not really providing any of that stuff. And doing that because they need to get better insights about the customer relationship. That
yeah,
market shift to subscription, to retention economy, whatever you want to call it. We're going to see more and more investment in tools like ours. Secondly, you're going to see more and more investment in especially in the sport world, in agent optimization, quality monitoring, things like engagement, because everything from work from home, work from anywhere, really the competitive nature for labor right now, and an already high attrition industry like customer support,
yeah,
companies need to do that. They need to value and they need to show that they value these types of employees because they're the new, especially in B2B, they're the front line, they're the gatekeepers, they're the oxygen to a lot of different things like product teams, to customer success, and obviously to the support experience. They need to invest in that. So I think a lot of things are gonna happen there and kind of come together. And the great thing is that, you know, in general, like I said, you're seeing more purpose-built AI. You don't go buy some generic AI engine and make it work for your support tool. That's untenable, right? People have learned that's not great, right? We don't want to do that. So that's kind of, you know, I think all those things are coming together, and that all just bodes well for products like ours that do all those things. Because, you know, Krishna, our CEO, really saw this trend coming, you know, started putting the company together, and now we're just reaping the benefits, because this in 2022 and beyond is just going to become more and more critical. Because if you think COVID is the first of a type of disruption to our workforce and how we're thinking in a work from anywhere approach, you know, we have to completely change how we build, how we manage workforces, not just support organizations. So a lot of disruption continuing to happen next year and beyond, and tools like ours can help companies, you know, get on the right path. So we're excited about it.
Fantastic.
Nailed it.
Marshall.
Me?
Yeah, you. Normally we interrupt you, so it's time to let you speak.
Okay. I was really happy with what he said and thought it was a great place for us to end. However,
Yeah.
You did give me now a question. If we're going to be seeing more purpose-built individual AI products, is there going to be difficulty getting them to speak to one another inside a corporate system?
You know, that's a question maybe for like iPaaS vendors or something, but you know, but I do think that integration's getting easier when you have more things kind of in the cloud and built on standards, and the integration protocols and APIs and all that are getting, it's spaghetti of a different kind, right? But you do, but you know. But data warehouses and other things are getting, you know, they're changing. You know, you're seeing iPaaS and ETL kind of merge and that kind of stuff with great companies like Tray and stuff like that. You know, you see what Salesforce is doing between MuleSoft and Tableau and all those other things to make these things intelligent and interactive and that kind of stuff. So, you know, it's a new set of challenges, but I think they're easier than when we were living in like the client server era. Than that. Because what we're also doing is we're ditching a lot of relational databases and we're learning with the new ways of data approach to just kind of read and to take insights and to push them together. And it's you know, it's at rest and all that kind of stuff. So there's some really cool things that we can be doing to make these things talk to each other. And I'm not too worried about that, because again, we're not ditching the systems of record, so they can still sit there and just feed from those.
Okay.
That makes for some perfect famous last words, doesn't it?
Right.
Okay, then thanks to everybody who was there in the audience, who was quite calm today. Thanks to you, Martin.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
See you next time, everybody, except Martin, who does not vanish now.
We're keeping
We
it.
hopefully can continue to see you if I sort of manage to find this end broadcast button, which doesn't
Bye,
react.
audience.
Bye,
So,
audience.
Right,
Thanks, everyone.
probably you should hit the end of the session button.